The Sixers signed Paul George for a 4-year, $212 million contract. The reason why he left the Clippers was because he wanted a 4-year deal. The Clippers were not willing to give him that. They only wanted to give him a 3-year deal. They weren't willing to budge. This is why he decided to leave them, because the 4th year, the additional money was too much for him to pass up. You can't blame him for that. It definitely always comes down to money in most cases when it comes to free agency. Sometimes a player will take a little bit less to stay with his team, but in most cases, it comes down to money. If the money isn't right, the player's going to leave. Now, with that being said, with the Sixers getting Paul George, are they now the top dogs in the East? Are they the team to beat? I think that's a good question. So when you look at their current roster, who they have under contract right now, let me just pull that up. Right now, you have Joel Embiid, Paul Reed, Tyrese Maxey, Andre Drummond, Eric Gordon, and some guy I've never heard about named Ricky Council. They also have Kelly Oubre. They've just agreed to re-sign. So the starting lineup I project so far right now is Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, Kelly Oubre. Paul Reed, I'm going to assume, would be the power forward if they don't re-sign Tobias Harris. But that's their projecting starting lineup right now. Now, that could change depending on who they sign during this free agency period. But as of now, that's what I project as their starters. Their bench, with what they have right now, Andre Drummond and Gordon, is solid, I would say. Andre Drummond is still young. He's a guy that can get you a double-double off the bench. He's the only thing I have issues with about him is that he is a low IQ player. He makes stupid decisions. He commits dumb fouls. He makes dumb plays, but he's a really good rebounder. So in his role off the bench, he will be useful for them. Eric Gordon, he's getting up there in age. He's 35. He'll be turning 36. But I looked at his numbers last year, and he was solid. So he should give them some juice off the bench. But because of his age, you just never know. That's why I would say their bench is decent right now. It'll be interesting to see who they add. I would say they need to add another wing player off the bench to back up Paul George and Oubre. They need that. They need to add a better power forward than what they have in Paul Reed. Paul Reed's an okay role player, but to me, he's not a starter. So they had to fix those holes. I think those are the biggest holes the Sixers need to fix right now. Get a legit power forward, get a legit backup perimeter guy that can back up PG or Kelly Oubre off the bench, and get a legit backup point guard. So they have a lot of holes right now. This is why I'm not willing to say that they're the best team in the East yet. They had to fix those holes, and maybe then I will put them as the team to beat in the East. But right now, I wouldn't say they are. It'll be interesting to see the moves that they make. There's also a part of me that just doesn't trust this team. I look at Joel Embiid as an injury-prone guy that's never ready during the playoffs. That it's a given that he's going to be hurt. He's not going to play, or if he does play, he's going to be playing with an injury. So I just don't trust him. Grant, Tyrese Maxey was really good last year in the playoffs, so he proved he could be a high performer. But Paul George, to me, he's shaky. He's shaky. At times he plays great during the playoffs. Other times he doesn't. So you just don't know what you're going to get with him. Paul is not really young. When you look up his age, he's 34. So he'll be, I think he turned 34 recently. So, but still, that's not what I would consider young in the NBA. That I think he could be good for another 2 or 3 years. But we'll see. When you get that age, injuries can creep up on you and just slow you down. So they had to hope that Paul doesn't get any injuries now with his age. But there's question marks. They got to fix their depth. They got to add a better power forward. Until they do that, I'm not willing to put them ahead of the Celtics or the Knicks right now. But we'll see what moves they make and if those moves will propel them to be the number one contender in the East. We'll see.